Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
We're back for Southern Cross ESports, round number 2 of the Winter Series here on SimSpeed TV. Winring Motegi hosts this second round of the championship season. What a race it is going to be. After one round, we've seen plenty of action already. Drivers are back for the second running of the season with the new car in this championship, the Porsche 991 Cup car. Jay Kennedy in the booth alongside Stu Brown. Stu's come back once again because he had so much fun last time. Stu, what are we in for tonight? This is going to be very, very good to watch.
Yeah, great track to bring the new cars to. Welcome everyone to tonight's coverage, and absolutely back. Great round one with some very, very competitive racing right throughout the field. So looking forward to seeing what this track brings to us tonight. You were remarking before the race, a good track, particularly this particular layout, with light racing, potentially night racing under lights, I should say, a potential opportunity as well. But we're in Japan. 4.8 Ks of track for us clockwise direction, 14 turns to navigate tonight. It's going to be hairy down into turn 10. These Porsches, particularly on cold tyres, can be a little bit of a handful, and they are made to race, of course. No ABS, no really any real driver assistance at all. So we're in for a good event, I think, tonight for round 2.
100%. It's going to be very, very entertaining to watch, and night racing. Very, very cool on the day, as well as we go under Oval, which of course facility was originally the Honda test track. Okay, longer repairs being done to the Oval after the quake a few years ago, but the road track's still in use. This is our schedule for the championship season. We had last round had Zandvoort, Motegi tonight, and some real cool tracks still to come, but a really interesting mix of tracks as well. I think next round at Hangikor is going to be very fun. Fuji will be very entertaining, but one thing that I've noticed that is very similar throughout, lots of long straights, which means lots of overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. I think we remarked last week about it's good to see that we've got a really nice mix of tracks we don't generally get to see these cars run at in those sort of first 4 rounds, and then we head to your more traditional racetracks that we would expect the Porsche Cup to run at, so Road America, Phillip Island Spa, and Mount Panorama. So some of these drivers perhaps not as strong at these tracks as they might be in the latter half of the championship, so that'll keep it interesting the way through all 8 rounds.
This is the championship standings after one round. No surprise, Rick Kuznetsov leads the way. Of course, clean swept first round, but tied for third in the championship when Ray Oliver and Tiago Massadu. I'd actually say it's tied for 10th as well with Dean Hunt and Simon Mazzomo. Remember, Mazzomo picked up that penalty late on in race 2, and that cost him what was looking like a really promising night of racing. So he'll be looking for a bit of redemption this week, but that mid-pack battle is going to be very, very cool to watch between the likes of Oliver Massadu, Leonard, Hearn, Pepper and Pringle. They're all very, very close in the...
Yeah, and plenty of elbows out as well last week, which we saw. Good race driving between a lot of the Frog Gleep guys as well. Had a little bit of bad luck early on in those races. I think it was Ray Oliver who did an awesome drive back after some poor luck in that first race. So see how he performs tonight. Did comment as well just before the broadcast, a couple of drivers getting a chance to get in and get amongst it tonight as well. Good to see John Lee back. Having to run in this series as well. Well known within the sim community, but having to run tonight. A couple of other stronger drivers to challenge as well. What are we in for tonight? We've got a 15-minute qualifying session. Drivers are out on track already. Just having a look at that. 20-minute race 1 with the inverted top 12 for race 2. So race 1 finishing spots just as important for the start of that race 2 grid. We'll have to do 4 tyres in that feature race. And they do need to stop between minutes 5 and minutes 40 to get that stop done. So strategy will play a role here as well. So a variety of drivers, a variety of strategies across the drivers as well last round. Some opting to go a little early to try and get out of some traffic. Some we thought might do that after their race 1 results, not doing that running long and that helping them carry through. But yeah, pit strategy here will be an interesting one at this place, with a difficult place to pass, potentially a couple of opportunities, but they'll need to make sure that they have that in mind. As you have a look at Rick Kuznetsov, race winner and championship leader from last week. He is the fastest man on track already with a 54.4 so far, with about 8.5 minutes to go in qualifying.
It's possibly not going to have it quite as easy as he did in the first round. I mean, he made it look easy, and saying that probably wasn't as easy as he made it look out on track, but you should have a bit more competition tonight. We've got likes of Marcus Watson here, who's well known here on TV. Very, very fast in GT cars. First time I've seen him in the Porsche, but pace does usually translate between GT and Porsche. Maybe not so between, say, the V8 and the Porsche, but definitely translates a bit more through GT cars, as Simon Mazzomo goes P1 in the sister 9.5 Sim Sport car. That'll be a good confidence boost for him, beating Rick Kuznetsov at the moment.
Yeah, you're very right. I mean, there was more of a transition between the GTE Porsche and the Cup car back in the day, both not having ABS, both not having traction control. V8 Supercars shares that similarity with the Porsche, but of course totally different in terms of downforce and tyre. So yeah, it's an easier transition to make from the GT3s across to these, but still not easy in any stretch of the imagination. So we see a little bit closer competition at the front there. Tom Mazzomo doing a great job, very, very fine margins, but doing a great job to get himself back up there. Michael Thompson having a run with us again tonight as well in the Sets Enterprises Porsche entry. Just familiarising himself with the track, just in 20th at the moment, but track space as well is something that you need to look for in these qualifying runs. Make sure that you're not assisting another driver with a tow.
And as you can see there, the 777 of Chase Hoy getting out of the way, which is good to see. Just want to give a bit of a shout out to Michael Thompson as well. Michael's actually a first responder from emergency services, so just want to give a shout out to him for his helpless work, much needed work within the community, and all first responders take their lives to helping others. I think we realise how important they are until we don't have them around. So big thank you to everyone involved in that line of work, and volunteer work or paid work, doesn't matter. We appreciate it all.
Absolutely. You don't realise, as you say, how valuable they are until you need them, or until they're not there when you do. So thank you to them, and good to see he's able to get out on track. Have a crack tonight.
At some point, we'll try and get a shot of it, but at the back of his car, it's actually got their motto for Team Bravo he's part of, and their motto is second in, first out, which I think is very cool.
So we've got 5 minutes to go here in qualifying. Someone just off on the outside there as we switch across now to Ben Brazier, who's just popped up into third place. So he's just 4/10 behind current provisional pole sitter Simon Mazzomo with a good lap there of 54.8. What are we looking at for weather-wise here, Jay? Of course, in Japan.
Out of the there, very very hot is probably the best way to
It can get hot, I would think.
Well, we're currently at 2:30 in sim time, but track conditions are hot, 25.5 degree track air temperature, but a 43.5 degree track temp. And they're going to get warmer as the day progresses, or the night progresses even. Drivers are going to have to be very very careful about very very slippery tyres coming later on, which talked about it a little bit last round at Zandvoort. Does a pit stop help or hinder you with how long it takes for the tyres to get up to temperature? Well, I mean, it's very, very easy when the track temp is hot to hyperheat your tyres. So there's the downfall of maybe you want to pit early just to get those tyres lasting the distance a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get that out of the way, you don't really want to be trying to battle with that sort of stuff late on in the race. So, again, strategy will come into it, particularly on a track like this one, where things can get a little tight and passing can be a little more difficult than we might see at some of our other circuits throughout the series. So drivers will have to make a choice early on about which way they want to play it. And look, some of that may be based on how well they do in our first race, given that inverted top 12 for the grid positions in race 2. So keep an eye on that.
Up there for Marcus Watson, P1. God, I didn't notice even the timing screen with all the purple sectors, but now I see it off my other screen, and lots of purple showing up on the screen for that last lap. So very, very nice one there for Watson, and Kuznetsov drops back to third. He won't be happy with that at the moment.
No, definitely not. It's a hard cut here as well for qualifying, so the drivers will need to time their laps. We're looking at just under 2 minutes a lap, so anyone sort of halfway around the track now will maybe just get across the line before it cuts off. So some of them are going to miss out if they haven't timed that well. So I'm looking at people like Kurt Rose. He may not get across the line or won't get across the line to start another lap. Neither will Michael Howlett. Simon Mazzomo's pulled the pin as well, so he is out of qualifying. I think Kuznetsov may get across the line for one more try. Marcus Watson probably will as well. So a few of those battling at the top there are going to get across the line to have another crack. Trevor Leonard will as well. Jackson Pringle's going to have to make it count here because he's probably going to miss out on completing that next lap by the time he crosses the start-finish line. So starting to get a picture here of how our grid's going to look for race 1. Crossing the line now. We'll get another crack.
That just caught you out there. That's the alternate start-finish line there on the back straight. What's this layout? The alternate layout, which is run quite commonly in V8 racing, one with the purple font. It cuts off just before that final chicane. It cuts off the first hairpins on the lap. So very, very cool track. We've seen it if you've watched our coverage of V8 Vets. Next back, Google goes up to 12. Very him running the full Grand Prix layout, which of course used to be run in IndyCar back in the day. From memory, it's also hosted Formula 2 and Super Formula, Japanese Super Formula. So it has had some pretty prestigious racing. Hasn't had the top level, but has had pretty close to it.
Trying to pick here who's probably going to be the last across the line. I think maybe it might be Mike Howlett will get across the line as the last driver. So on board with Trevor Leonard, who will get this lap finished, is looking to improve on provisional P4. So with the sector splits. Looking like he's probably going to improve just slightly at the moment.
Very, very good. See, too,
yeah.
Alexander Newton, sector times look brilliant, but he's not going to back around up. So left it too late and will start no better than 20. Someone that we but this is going to be very nice jump up. You put a Trevor Leonard really jump up to second first, but you feel like he's going to jump up something here. Going to be very nice lap, goes into P number, stays even with the improvement.
Stays. Yeah, even with the improvement, just drops ever so slightly. It's 12 or 1/10 or a tenth away, we'll call it for the sake of the argument, away from that P3, and he was our last driver to get across the line to complete a qualifying lap. So timed it well, just wasn't quite able to put it together there out of the final corner. So we have a look at our starting grid for round 2 here at the Twin Ring Motegi. I'm sure I'll get that right or wrong at some stage. As Rick Kuznetsov takes out pole position for the second consecutive week. Marcus Watson going to line up next to him on the front row. So we have a look back into row 2. It is Simon Mazzomo and Trevor Leonard who are going to occupy that in a racecraft lockout with Thiago Macedo and Ben Brazier off row 3. Take a step further back, Mike Pepper and Ray Oliver off row 4 in the juiced cars. Do love those liveries of those juice boys, do a good job. With Kyle Ridley and Michael Howlett next in line off row 5. Let's keep working our way back here. Kurt Rose and Jackson Pringle off row 6. Going to be Clint Harvey and Michael Holdcroft off row 7. Next is Trevor Hearn and Cameron Edwards off row 8. And then Jesse McMenamin, I hope I get that right, with Chase Hoy off row 9. Jonathan Akers and Dean Hunt off row 10. Sam DeRua and Michael Thompson off row 11. And then it's Nathaniel Coburn and Alex Newton off row 12. With David Hughes and John Lee off row 13. And to complete this 28 car grid tonight, it is Greg Levine and the pace car. We do run live race control here, so that's the other thing as well. As any penalties early on can change your night. So the drivers will be looking to make sure they get through clean on this first lap or two while it is compact. It's a sprint race followed by our feature race with a compulsory pit stop, but this is hell for leather. Get inside that top 12. Who's going to benefit from that reverse top 12 in race 2? We're about to get started and find out here on SimSpeed.
We're just seeing how the start of the race plays out. We saw last week there was a lot of sheep stations being played for very early on, so fingers crossed we don't see too many sheep stations this time, and we see a little bit less chaos in this one.
Could be salmon farms. We are in Japan. But yeah, it was very aggressive at the start from a few of the drivers, and some of them paid the penalty, unfortunately, with drive-throughs and damage and what have you. So it was an exciting start to last week. Some for all the wrong reasons. For us up here in the Combox, probably for some of the right reasons. We don't mind seeing a little bit of argy-bargy every now and again. But here we go, waiting for Barney to drop the flag. And there it goes. You can see him waving over the wall there, and Kuznetsov gets off to a really, really good start with Marcus Watson in the background looking 3 or 4 wide. Do we get 4 wide? No, 3 wide in the background, but looking nice and clean through turn 1. Bunch up a little bit further at the back there. As you can see, things spreading a little at the front with 2 wide. It looks like Pepper and Oliver down into turn 2. Everyone doing a pretty reasonable job on cold tyres. Can be difficult. High track temp, cold tyres in these cars. But a great job so far from everyone getting through without damage.
There hasn't been, right on cue, a little bit of contact there between Clint Harvey and Trevor Hearn, the strangers in this series. Surprising that it hasn't been too much argy-bargy in this short 20-minute race. We made it the first half a lap clean, which is great to see.
Yeah, no single car incidents either, so it's going very, very well. Just trying to bring up the track map there for myself, but we'll deal with that as we continue to focus through on this lead pack. Kuznetsov was kicked out a little bit here. He's out to a second lead as those behind him just start battling a little bit, jostling for some position between Watson, Mazzono, and Macedo. Macedo had a good race last week as well. Came from a long way back, had an early incident in race 2. Managed to get himself up towards the pointy end of the field. Focused here.
Did that just from driving and smart driving. Pay off completely again, but did a very, very nice.
Yeah, he did. Just as you say, nice, clean, and consistent throughout the whole race, and it got him up towards where he probably would have preferred to spend most of the race.
Just noticed Trevor Hearn's got a mechanical black flag. I'm trying to find out what it's for, but pit entry is going to be something that will catch drivers out tonight. It is very, very difficult to do. Very easy to get yourself a speeding in pit penalty. Also to get yourself a black flag for cutting too much of the course on pit entries. May catch some drivers out that haven't practiced that too much. You know, if ever you've watched a broadcast here, that we'll often talk about that sort of issue. Tracks like not so much here, but was Trevor Leonard's off as well. Just saw in the back a shot there in the 27 car. So
ran wide.
Might have got through fairly safe at the start, but it started to unload a little bit.
Yeah, he just ran wide there on the exit of the corner, so just probably suffering a little bit of understeer early on. So looking at a couple of attacks going on here between Watson and Mazzomo, and Macedo and Mike Pepper in the background as well, just starting to bunch up a little and look for a way by as we have a dive here. Let's have a quick look at the replay.
This isn't how he got the mechanical black flag, but I think that may have been an effect from the black flag. One of the cars that we saw off it.
It's Pepper on Oliver. Sorry, my apologies. Pepper on Ben Breyer, just having a dig, not quite able to get it done. Oliver now all over the back of Mike Pepper as well. So plenty of activity here in this lead group. Kuznetsov, the benefactor at the moment, able to check out to the tune of 1.3 seconds in the lead.
Decent margin that we've got, but the secondary group all very, very close. And this battle pack that we've been watching here from Breyer back, this is technically the battle for a reverse grid pole, because the end of the group is Mike Holcroft just having a little look there at the inside of Clint Harvey. That is position number 12, which of course is the most important position in this race. That'll be the pole sitter for race 2. So Pringle and Leonard that you see here, they're fighting for 13th and 14th. They want to try and get up to that group.
Yeah, they really want to work together a little bit if they can. Leonard down 10 positions, of course, from his starting in P4. He's got a little bit of work to do now. How did that happen? How does he drop 10 positions? Just from that run wide, that's really costly, I guess, on a small track. It's just let through a whole heap of traffic, so it's definitely got the work to do in front of him. Otherwise, it could compound the cost into race 2 as he has a look here down the inside of Jason Pringle. Gets the move done. Pringle gives him the room. A little bit of a look back there. Probably realises he can't get it done, and that is one more position for Trevor Leonard. So now he's got to set out and have a look for the back of Mike Holcroft in P12.
This is how he's lost all the ground. Started lap 2, so missed this while we were watching other things going on. Run wide, we saw the end of it. Slides it in. Oh, it's a good save, but have a look at how many positions. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're so compacted at the early stages of the race. It's very easy to lose spots. There's 9. Just ahead there of the 7 of Cam Edwards, so almost lost 10 spots.
He's done a really good job there with the rejoin as well as the save. The tyres would have been overheated there. Going down into that turn, probably had a little bit of a lack of confidence in what the car might actually do. So as there's someone just off in front of him or around in front of him there, that's the 51 of Mike Holcroft.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh, and now it's on its roof. 51 of Mike Holcroft, that is race over. Might bring out a safe car.
Potentially one out. We didn't see one in round 1. But we're very cautious to bring one out, but now it's happened just in too deep. Makes contact in the rear of Harvey. And to flip in it back, it hasn't spun anywhere near as much as he thought.
Yeah,
That's second.
It's not going to bode well, so we'll see what comes out of that one. But yeah, not ideal there, unfortunately. He's got it going again, so there'll be no safety car. He'll get that one round to pit lane though. But yeah, you'll get that one round to pit lane. That'll be driving like it's like a Beetle more than a Porsche at the moment. So you'll have to get that one around.
Daniel Coburn was the driver that came in there the first time of heavy contact, and Alexander Newton was the second car in that was able to continue on, but a little damage and a little hurt, but able to continue. Now, watching the battle here, this is fourth on back as Massadou looking up the inside of Ray Oliver. Oliver's a little bit too wise for him for that. Played this game before. Massadou's going to have to work a little bit harder to get this spot.
It's a good move. The move was on. Plenty of respect given by both drivers, but not quite able to get far enough up to pull it off.
Homo up the inside.
So he's probably feeling a little bit like he's being held up at the moment by Marcus Watson. So you can see the lead now. There's our race leader just going by on the bottom of your screen, 4 seconds to the good. So Mazomo and Watson, while they're battling, Kuznetsov just makes hay while the sun shines and sets off into the distance. We've got a little bit of a gap as well back to Ben Brazier as we have a look at a replay here. To move down the inside.
Very nice move.
Very well done. A little bit of caution shown as well from both drivers, which is good. It's the 71 on screen there as well. 77, I should say, sorry, on screen.
Are you all right the first time?
No,
71 for Watson?
71 of Marcus Watson. Got too many screens, it's a commentator's curse.
Does suck you in sometimes when you go a little bit extra with screens. As up the inside comes Watson. He takes a spot back, but Mazomo is still fighting it here. Side by side run up to turn 10. Aptly named Hairpin.
I thought a while about that one.
Gets the spot back. I mean, it may not be known as Hairpin, but it's just the English translation is very, very simple and legitimate. Fencer from Mazomo using all the track he can.
And he's going to still hold on to it here, down into what I found out is turn 1 and 2. I thought it was... No, it's not. I'm still in the
turn
wrong
11.
Part of the track. I'll get there. I'll get there.
They do catch you out for a little while. That's turn 11, the downhill braking zone at 11 through 12, 13, and then Victory Corner at turn 14. And this is the real front straight.
This is the one that I was thinking about.
Just said turns 1 and 2 at this hairpin. Here's a double apex. You see that you do run a little bit wider and then you come back in. A little more prevalent. The faster your cars you drive, the less double apex it becomes. This guy's a fight, and that battle behind is actually getting a little bit bigger. The back to 9th position. Here's come Trevor Leonard now, trying to get himself back into the top 10, and he does with ease. Very, very nice overtake.
Yeah, I was just having a look at that as well in the background of my stream and could see, yeah, that battle now has basically... Oh, is there an issue for Brazier? I think he may have gone around. No, it just dropped out temporarily. Just having a technical issue. But basically involving 9 cars now. So the pressure has increased in this pack. Gonna have to keep an eye on what happens here. Simple mistake might cost you 3 or 4 positions. We saw that earlier on for Trevor Leonard as he makes his way back up. We're on board with Thiago Massadou here. Looking for another position. He's been locked in a battle with Ray Oliver.
He hasn't been able to make too many inroads. I mean, sorry, he's down 2 spots from where he started, and seen everyone in this group pretty much gain a spot from Trevor Leonard's misfortune. So Masadou's been the unfortunate loser out of this group of cars other than Leonard. Watson also won from that take from Mazomo, but everyone else has been very, very consistent within this group, this pack. You have to get back to the likes of Cam Edwards and on back further from there before we start to see too many positional changes. So it's interesting how little passing there has been so far, but what that does say to me is that the pit stop is going to be so important when we get into the next race.
And we did touch on it at the top of the broadcast that it's a difficult place to pass in these cars. So really only a couple of opportunities, and with how close they're running together, it's not really an opportunity to get a good run on, particularly if you're a little bit faster in some parts of the track than the people that you're competing with. So another replay here. There's a lot of damage on that.
You're on?
2, yeah, and Thompson's still just struggling there. You can see no bonnet on that Porsche. That won't be helping him.
Keeping it cool. I mean, the engine is in the back, but it will be keeping it cool because that's where the radiators are.
True. Won't be helping with much else.
You're not in the show and shine department?
No. We won't be rolling that one into the Porsche garage to be on display. So, again here, battles right throughout the field. It's the battle for 18th between Hughes and McMenamin. It hasn't really changed.
Yeah, McMenamin's driver probably one to look out for, I reckon, later on in the season once his confidence starts to grow. He's only going to get better as he gets more laps in the car. Relatively new to the series, and I'll tell you what, that's deep and almost makes heavy contact into the back of David Hughes there. Going to pay off. He's somehow managed to pull it up, even avoiding the contact. He's going to steal his spot here with this run down the back straight into turn 11.
So we can close that out and get that done. A
Lock
little
up.
lock up. Cost him.
Done. Nice move.
Yeah, managed to hold on to it, so that's a good job. Close that out. Just note some of the drivers just struggling with a bit of volume from race control as well. So it is that the 222 of Michael Thompson has been DQ'd. Potentially he might be unaware of that, so we'll keep an eye on that as well.
Has brought the car back to the lane regardless, I think, for damage anyway. Decided to park the car for this one. He'll come back out in the next one and try again, unfortunately. Because, it seems to happen when we talk someone up or give a shout out to them that we ruin their night. So we apologise for it, but in the same breath, commentator's curse is a real thing. So the only person that is in the position to not have a commentator's curse is Kuznetsov, because he is driven away from the field.
Yeah, it's still 3/10 here between Mazomo and Watson for P2. Watson there just struggling a little bit for drive on the run down the straight, and that's just allowed Mazomo to edge out ever so slightly. But when I say ever so slightly, not enough. The battle continues. So does the battle for P4. Right the way through to P9. Trevor Leonard's just dropped off the back a little bit. You see the 54 there of Clint Harvey. That car also looking very worse for wear.
Slam car, unfortunately. Corner exit, alternate pit wall. Circuit. Just, power without any grip. Ray Oliver has a mistake too. Turn 1, turn 2.
Yeah, so I was just going to say he's dropped off. So is Trevor Leonard a little bit from this this group that we're looking at. So now I've got 4-car or 5-car battle for P4 as we have a look at the replay here.
Trying to defend that position there. I think he broke himself. Too much mirror watching and not too much road watching.
That's it. It's just gone in too deep, and there's no pulling that up. So might have the pace to get back on the back if the group in front of him bunches up. But we do only have 3.5 minutes to go here. So probably 2 laps.
It's in that magical P12.
Potentially starting at the front of the field for our feature race. We're 51 Sim Sports Porsche.
Love that helmet.
Absolutely.
The Lando Norris Miami F1 helmet.
You'd be even more so happy with it after events this morning.
Look, yeah, yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning,
yeah, yesterday. Big basketball fan. Those that know me know that massive basketball fan, and my team is in the NBA playoffs, NBA finals, I should say, for the first. Yeah, that's cool. Love it. Hashtag Go Nuggets. Big Nuggets. And I've got so many jerseys that I don't know which one I want to wear.
And controversially or non-controversially, being a big Michael Jordan fan myself, I'm not too disappointed to see the Lakers get clean swept. So
I'm also very anti-Lakers fan. I've been an anti-Lakers fan for longer than I've been a Nuggets fan. I grew up supporting another NBA team which moved cities, and didn't like it when it moved cities, and didn't have a team for years. Video games got me back into it and made me become a Nuggets fan when they were the worst team in the NBA. Now we're off to the finals for the first time, and I cannot be happier.
Wouldn't be NBA Jam, would it?
No. NBA 2K. NBA 2K, I think it was 11 or 12. And
Yep.
kept getting drafted. My player kept getting drafted to the Nuggets, and this is a sign. Wherever I end up the next season, I'm going to go for him. And it ended up at the Nuggets again, 3 in a row. I'm like, I guess I have to go for him. So 10 years later, we're now in the finals.
It's a good story. It's good to see some variety, of course. Speaking of variety, here's a move.
This is for 12th too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Jackson Pringle moves up into P12 ahead of Cam Edwards, so he'll be wanting to hold out that position if he can. So he now will inherit the front row primary position on the grid. Edwards isn't lying down though, as you can see, he's just on the bumper of the 11 machine of Jackson Pringle. And he break away. This will be the final lap. Next time around, Rick Kuznetsov will grab the white flag as he heads across the start-finish line right about now. Should see Barney off to the left there, just hanging over the pit wall. You can just catch that white flag. And so this
Comes Edwards.
And here goes Edwards again.
Haven't received the white flag yet. Pringle a little bit tentative there under brakes into the 90-degree and 11 as they come through 12 and then 13 and the right-hander of 14. And this fairly short front straight. Just we were talking before, a car off in the background there. That's Chase Hoy having a little bit of lawn mowing, but get it back on A-OK. Before we were talking about the schedule, this will be the shortest front straight we have in the entire season. So last week had relatively short-ish straight at Zandvoort, but this one a little bit shorter. The rest of the season, all very, very long front straights, or at least long main straights. The front straight at Hague was not overly long, but the back straight is incredibly long. Battle continues for P number 12. Can Jackson Pringle come back? You'd think he's going to have a try, but... Well, there we go. Mistake from Edwards. He's going to get it back. He gets handed the spot.
It just depends on which layout we're running at Spa as well, but of course that has a reasonably short front straight. I guess you'd call
Hemel Straight makes up for it.
It does indeed. It does. It's not too far away. As it's a change at the front. Oh no, it's just Ben Bray again, just dropping in and out, just tricking me up, tripping me up every time.
He's actually going to struggle to make it back around the finish, basically. Body of his action, but no issues for this guy at the front. Kuznetsov looked like he is safe. Bring it home to pick up the win in race 1. Hopefully he'll start from P12, but that's 3 race wins from 3 starts in the series. What a start to the season.
Absolutely, he'll be absolutely wrapped with that one. Pole and start to finish again. So having a look again at this battle. This is back for 12th. Pringle
Oh, both lock it up.
tries to get it to defend, but he can't do it. And Edwards moves up into that golden position, P12. The gap's too big now after the lockup. Just got to bring it home, and he will get it done. And that'll see him start as pole. Yeah, and it was really close as well, just having keeping an eye on it between 3rd, 4th, and 5th as well. They were 3 wide going into the final sequence of corners. So it's the battle of the damaged cars.
Damage has just happened as well. Right. Yeah, 10-10 and
Gone the other way.
all on the outside.
These fans would have been excited by that. Bring this one to a close. End of our first race here of round 2. 20-minute main race. Sorry, 20-minute race 1, I should say, with the feature race coming up. You heard Rick Kuznetsov dominating pole position and a start to finish win for him, with Simon Mazzomo in P2, Marcus Watson P3, Ben Breyer in P4. Got Mike Pepper and Tiago Macedo following on, with Kyle Ridley, Michael Howlett, Trevor Leonard and Ray Oliver rounding out our top 10. If you have a look further back in the grid, in the finishing order is Kurt Rose, Cam Edwards, our pole position sitter for our feature race. Jackson Pringle putting the pressure on him right throughout the race, just not quite able to keep it there. We'll start from P13. Dean Hunt 14, with John Akers in 15th. Chase Hoy, Clinton Harvey 16th and 17th, with Jesse McMenamin and David Hughes 18th and 19th, and Trevor Hearn in 20th. And Michael Thompson, Alex Newton, Nathaniel Coburn, Greg Levine, and then Michael Holcroft finishing the race in the pits along with Sam Darua.
That run to the line here from Mike Pepper and Bray. You see Bray there in the 5 car, runs extremely wide, and drag race they had all the way to the another 100 metres, he might have got him.
Yeah, so they were jostling for position going in that final sequence of corners. So good hard racing from all of them there, plenty of room given. Respect shown. So we got to be the benefactors of that finish.
We got the chance. We'll give a little bit of a shout out to all the series sponsors and partners help us bring this series to V8 Drive Day Perth, and partners of this series, long-time supporters of the V8 Drive Day Perth Southern Cross ESports series. Perth, and want to experience a bit of driving? Check out Friday, VRace Experience, which a few of the drivers are racing from tonight in Perth. It's Word of Mouth Sides and EPD Performance 4x4. Thank you to all of those supporters of this series for helping us bring the series to you. It's been very, very fun so far, and 45-minute race is going to catch some people out. One thing that I did sort of mention, but found it too much afterwards, down at the entrance. Of this entrance is very, very difficult to get into the pit to really understand how hard it is. Try it yourself. We'll jump on board back on lap 1. Remember, we saw Trevor Hearn did have a mechanical black flag, so you have to come into the pits. Before you know it, the chicane's already caught up on you and you don't even realise. And get a slowdown penalty if you cut that too fine. So got to be very, very careful. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 1, 2, 3, maybe 10 drivers even get penalties for either speeding in the pits or for not clearing that slowdown before they get into the pit lane.
Yeah, and of course, you've got no time to serve it as well. So the other ramification from that can be that you get a little bit of music on the back bumper from anyone closing in behind you. So it very much could be the cause of the destruction of a couple of people's nights if they're not too careful on the run in. So it really does play the question then about pit strategy. You know, between 5 and 40 minutes into the race, drivers have to pit They have to change 4 tyres. We've spoken before as well about that risk on cold tyres and running in a pack. You know, there's a lot to play here. The pit entry complicating matters as well for the drivers in terms of the strategy. So, you know, it's not a bad play, particularly if your first race hasn't worked out quite in the way you might have hoped that it would have, to get into pit lane as soon as you can, get that served and run the long stint to the end of the race in some clean air.
Yeah. Difficulty comes though if you get damage early on, then your strategy is very much unknown, because you don't want to pit before that window opens and have to come back in for a secondary pit stop. If your driver's really thinking about that when it does come time for pit stop cycle to go through. Interesting that not more drivers haven't gone out there in this 5-minute warm-up to actually practice the pit entry as well. I think that a few drivers have gone out there and realised, hey, this pit entry is not easy to get in. They have our words in their ears as well, or may have someone watching that said, hey, go and practice that pit entry. But drivers that haven't practiced it, we will know, and we will notice come the night's end.
The other thing about it that makes it difficult too, which is different to other tracks we see with quite narrow or quite conservative entries to pit lane, is there's no ripple strips on the verge of the grass and the racetrack. So equally, while you're trying to avoid it, you can easily drop a wheel off onto the grass and end up facing the wrong direction on the way into pit lane. So, you know, we're not overplaying it. It really is quite a complicated track entry or pit entry to get right, particularly during race pace when you're trying to use that pit entry to sort of maximize your advantage against anyone you're racing against who might be a little more conservative on their way into pit lane. So I reckon we're going to definitely see, I'll call it now, a race-changing episode on the way into pit lane at some stage during this race.
I agree. And the other part we may see as well is someone getting hit from behind as they attempt to get into the pit. So that could be controversial. Cam Edwards and Rosé will start from the front row in this one, remembering reverse top 12 from race 1. Ray Oliver and Trevor Leonard start on row number 2. Row 3 will be Hallett and Cole Ridley. Row 4, Thiago Macedo and Mike Pepper. 5, out the top 10, Ben Breyer and Marcus Watson.
Drivers then, Tom Mazzomo and Rick Kuznetsov out front row from the feature race, from the main race. Oh my goodness me, I can't even talk. You know what I'm trying to say. As we move back into those who start where they finish, Jackson Pringle and Dean Hunt, 13 and 14. John Akers and Chase Hoy, 15th and 16th. Clinton Harvey, Jesse McMenamin looking to make their moves up the grid. David Hughes and Trevor Hearn, 19th and 20th. Michael Thompson and Alex Newton, 21st and 22nd. Nathaniel Coburn and Greg Levine, 23rd and 24th. Michael Holcroft and Sam Brewer looking to make their nights a little more memorable. John Lee, the safety car to trail the field around. All of the cars out on track ready to go. And also, I remember from last week, some big gains early on, but also some good race management from a couple of the drivers as well. Tom Mazzomo was one of those drivers to manage his way back up to take out that feature race win last week. Will he do it again here? We're waiting for the flag to go green. He's gone early. It's dropped there. See what comes out of that, but we're 3 wide down into turn 1. A little more aggressive on the way in, but still looking clean so far. It can be a little difficult when you're trying to make your way through early on and gain positions, but it looks like, again, everyone's done a great job getting through turn 1 and 2. We head down to left-hander. We're 5 wide in the background there. I managed to realise that's not going to work. A little bit of hip and shoulder there. Out onto the grass, and we've got a spin in the background as well. Is that Mazzomo? It is. Mazzomo around in the middle. Oh, and he's been hit as well. So there you go. Exactly what you called as well, Jay, with that early thing. He's got a decision. He's going to have to go into pit lane potentially now and get that damage repaired, or does he limp it around until at least lap 5 so that he can make it to the end and get that damage fixed? We'll have to see what he does. And at the front, it is Cameron Edwards and Ray Oliver, bumper to bumper, but this group is tight.
Extremely tight at the moment. Ben Breyer's very lucky as well. He was the driver just in behind Kuznetsov and Watson, Ridley, who were side by side coming into turn. Oh no,
Cam
Edwards off.
Grass. Yeah.
The race
Changed
leader.
the lead too. Yeah, changed the lead and he's out on the grass. So potentially outbraked himself. We'll grab a replay of that when the action calms down a little bit. But Howlett and Oliver challenging at the front with Leonard just taking off with them as well. Rose and Macedo, as we bring up that replay. Yeah, I think it was just the hip and shit. Yeah, just there. Just a little tap on the back left corner there. I couldn't quite pick up the driver who did it, but I think he may end up having a little bit of a visit from race control. We'll leave that up to them to have a look at. This is another challenge on for the lead here. Oliver looking to get down underneath Howlett. Oh, and there's a hip and shoulder again. That's pushed Oliver out. Oh, sorry, we're looking at the replay. Apologies. He did get bumped out there as well, so I think then maybe not. We'll wait and see what happens with that.
It's the last replay we'll show in this little phase. There's 11 car behind him. That's Jackson. Oh. Race control. We're going by what happened last week. Again, Alexander Newton himself wrong place, wrong time. Someone that spun. It's two races in a row, but yeah, if you're thinking back to the penalties that were handed out last week, you'd probably say that Pringle's going to face a penalty for that one, but obviously we're not in race control, so we don't know, but it's going by what we saw last week, which was very consistent. We would probably see the same as that's Akers having a big moment, but a great save.
Yeah, just wanted to let go on him there, but he did. He managed to grab it back and wrestle control.
That was me. I was in the fence.
The point you make about last week as well, race control did a fantastic job, I thought, in their decision making, keeping things nice and consistent as well. You can just see here, gets off the curb, just gets a little excited.
Oh.
But he's recognised it early, because it's different when you're driving the sim to when you're driving your race car. You don't get to feel that in your butt or through the seat.
Done it again though.
Nicky Lauder described once very eloquently. And this time I think he's had a help. A little helping hand there. So using your eyes and the feel in the steering wheel to actually realise that the back of the car's loose. So he's done a great job there. Unfortunately, suffering from it, but we've got Mike Howlett in the lead now. And he's just opened up a little gap on Ray Oliver with Trevor Leonard in this group. And it's back to Watson, Kuznetsov and Ridley.
Been in the fastest lap of the race too, which would have thought Watson and Kuznetsov may have done that, but Howlett doing a very, very good job. Going back to what we were just saying about last round too, we didn't necessarily 100% agree with the calls, but one thing we did agree on was that they were very, very consistent in their decision making. So whether you agree with them or not isn't the key. Is as long as they're consistent week to week and driver to driver, you're okay with it. And as expected, Riggle gets a black flag.
Yep, there you go. I probably do agree with it at this point in time. So, but you're absolutely right. It's the same across any sporting code. You're just looking for that consistency so you know kind of what to expect, whether you agree with it or not.
Because has had another spin. There's something wrong with his car, I feel. See, 3 spins so quickly in this race doesn't make...
Maybe overcook the tyres. With those 2 rotations, the rears will be hurting a little bit on that car, and maybe they just haven't quite got down to temp with quite a high track temp as well. So this is Mizomo having a look at. So he's decided to keep pushing the cause. So obviously not too bad in that car. I think
he has got a mechanical black flag, but he's obviously good enough to continue driving for longer. So now the pit window is open. I think he was just making sure he got out and cleared that pit window, that compulsory pit window, just in case.
I think from there he should get into clean air still with the pack still relatively compressed.
I think the thing he's thinking, I mean, his car ran about 5 or 6. If you're 5 or 6 seconds off the pace and have to do 2 extra laps at that, that's still quicker than coming into the pit lane twice. I think that's his thinking is, oh no, our race leader, come off the track.
Yeah, and something happened to Jackson Pringle as well.
Pringle's in the pits to serve that drive-through.
Serve the drive-through, of course. I was just going to say, as my software just has a little catch-up there, but it now says he's in pit lane. He's actually out of pit lane now as well, so 26-second transition for him to serve that on as we have a look at the replay here of our race leader. Straight ahead. We've seen it before already tonight as well. As well to get it back on the track. He's going to lose touch with those two other cars of Oliver and Leonard. He's going to have to deal with Rick Kuznetsov, who's in this pack that's now battling for P3. Another relatively calm start, though. These reverse top 12 or any reverse top 10 type feature races can lead to a little bit of argy-bargy in that first few laps as some of the quicker drivers want to try and make their way back up to the front and get position. As Mazomo's out now, he's stationary for just under 33 seconds in the 54-second pit lane transition. So let's we can remember that for later in the race. Get a sort of rough idea of what you're looking at.
Remember the pit stops in this series, compulsory pit stop for all 4 tyres, which that's something else that can catch drivers out. I think it put someone out in the last race as well, did it not, in the last round, that someone only changed 2 and had to come back in for a second stop from memory? Now it happened a lot in our previous season. Here's comes Trevor Leonard looking up the inside.
I thought he was going to get it done too, and with him was Watson wanting to try and take advantage as well. Would have been some move for Watson to get through as well.
Watson's going to make it 3 wide here.
And he's in a good position, actually. He's probably in the best position here. Oh, they get the sandwich on. And there's a lock-up. There's contact as well. Watson, the benefactor. Kuznetsov, probably the real winner.
Kuznetsov's got a run here too to potentially steal the lead away, but Watson's going to defend it on the inside. I'll be having a look at that one, you feel?
Not sure about how much more room could have been given there, so we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they adjudicate there. Watson's still holding out Kuznetsov, but yeah, he got the best benefit out of all of it because he didn't get slowed up by the contact. Was able to get a good run out of that corner, just wasn't quite able to convert it. Have a look here from the roof of Kuznetsov, actually.
He broke early to make sure he didn't get involved, and there was no contact at all.
There's no contact, just a lock up in it, just trying to grab the space. So nothing to pay there at all. As straight ahead goes Kyle Ridley. Again, we've seen that already. It's easy enough to do here, particularly with the track temps.
Before suddenly becomes a group of 5 at the front.
Yeah, and they're now chasing the space. Bit of drive for Watson and Kuznetsov. They've pulled away. You can see there Howlett, Leonard and Oliver. It's compressed a little bit in the battle for third.
Getting into a very interesting battle pack here.
So Kuznetsov, as he did last week, up 10 spots. He'll want to be a little careful here with how aggressive he is trying to get into the lead. We're doing 54s at the moment, which is around the same pace as he was running in the first race tonight. So he's not being held up totally as he goes for the move here around the outside. Because you don't normally see that either. Contact with the 2. He's off on the track as well. And that's cost him a spot to Oliver. So this battle is hot at the front here.
I just realised they're only 10 minutes into a 45-minute race, yeah?
It doesn't look like it at all.
A group of 5 suddenly becomes a group of 7.
And this is the great thing about single make racing, is that this can happen so easily. There's a battle at the front of the field and it just compresses everything up, and then we just get into 7 or 8 guys vying for, effectively for the race lead. Any mistake at the front can bring everyone through, and the pressure's on.
If we stay like this when it comes time for these guys to come into the pits, it's just made that pit stop even more critical.
Jay, you're living in my mind. You're living in my mind. That's where I was headed.
Oh, I love the pit stop in this race. It just adds so much. These cars don't need a pit stop in a 45-minute race. Doesn't say they don't have to have one.
Absolutely not.
Made some brilliant racing in the past in this series, as there's almost contact there between Oliver and Watson, and then Kuznetsov almost makes contact with Ray Oliver.
Yeah, because the front of Ray's Porsche just pushed a little bit into the corner there. He ran a little deep, and that meant he had to try and arrest it and get it back in. And Kuznetsov was obviously going to be a little bit better positioned. And now he's having a look. He's just not quite far enough up to be able to make that stick. Of course, Kuznetsov going for the perfect pair here. He's 3 from 3 so far this season. He's looking to make it a clean sweep of both round 1 and 2. But these guys in front aren't just going to give it to him.
And Harvey up the inside just ran a little deep and just couldn't quite pull it up. The contact. I won't be too happy with that one there from Clint Harvey, but hey, we've made it through turns 1 and 2 without dives and making it 4 wide on the exit.
Have you picked up what's happened at the front here, Jay? Oh, is this contact? No. Was there contact? Oh, geez, he's done well to hold on to that. He's going to jump onto the back of the pack here as well. What I was alluding to is that while Kuznetsov and Pepper were battling, it's allowed Marcus Watson to check out at the front of the field to around 2 seconds. So we have a look at the onboard here. The back from Oliver. And there's just a tiny little bit of contact there. And I reckon they might have a look based on what we've seen. Could mean that Kuznetsov might pay an early visit to pit lane. But Watson's checked out at the front, 1.7 seconds to the good. As there's a big push down the inside there by Breyer on Howlett, and he gets it done.
Well, Massadou just lights up the rears as he tries to find some traction. It wasn't much, but he made it in the right direction, but Howlett will hold the position. But Massadou didn't get the wheel spin as much as he did. He might have got that spot too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just struggling for traction, getting a little excited at the gap.
I think the eyes lit up a little.
Absolutely. Massadou last week, some fantastic racing from him actually. It was good to watch. I know he'll have a crack. He was in hot pursuit last week as well. It was good to see. So
the red mist, didn't he? He was very, very angry, but driving aggressively, but just the right level of aggression after he chooses to cut. It was great to watch.
Loving is our international driver. He's got the centre helmet on there as well. You can just see it in the rearview mirror. Man who never died wondering about a gap.
You were talking before about the gap for Kuznetsov and Watson. It checked out to 1.7 seconds. End of the previous lap, Kuznetsov purple sectored 2 of the 5 sectors we've got here, 2 of the 5 micro sectors, and has now found himself back to within the draft as Ray Oliver gets a pit lane drive-through penalty. That will be for the contact with Kuznetsov.
Wow.
Which contact was that? Was that the contact we saw earlier? I remember there was contact. I wasn't sure if there was going to be a penalty for it, but he's received one.
If we roll that back, I think that was the incident that we saw where we saw no contact. The 3 in the sandwich, but it was just early braking that allowed Kuznetsov to get up.
David Hughes has received a black flag as well. Contact back in the field. We'll pick up at some point, but yeah, I do remember there was contact that we were unsure about with Ray Oliver, so we'll hit that in a minute. I'm working on it.
I'm just thinking then if that's for that incident, then Kuznetsov is definitely going to
he's in trouble, isn't he?
Pay a trip down the lane. Absolutely. So we'll just see. Also, while you were talking about the close of the gap, last lap around, both Kuznetsov and Watson were 1/100th away from one another in terms of lap time. So I'm not really sure where that second's come from, but you can see he's definitely closed up now and will be putting pressure on for the lead. The draft will help him.
Now, that contact with for the penalty for Ray Oliver, I remember what it was for. Lap 1, contact with Cam Edwards.
That pushed him wide, of course. So Ray Oliver into pit lane now to serve that drive-through.
It just came back to me then.
Yes,
David Hughes has got a penalty for something as well. Not sure what that is, but he's coming into the pit lane as well.
So again, I think that might be for the contact that we saw early on that push... was it Kyle Ridley wide? potentially touching 3 or 4, and then he started having issues with his tyres. So there were a few things. It was a hot and heavy at the start of the race there. So that's some explanation for you.
We said that someone was going to have this happen. Ray Oliver has received a black flag for not clearing the slowdown before entering the pit lane.
Basically means you've got to stop on the entry to pit lane, which is risky. As we said, we're expecting to see if these guys come in a group as Kuznetsov makes the move down under Watson and gets it done. 11 places gained. Oh, Watson's saying no, that's okay. I'll just do the switchback, thank you. So having a look now with this entry into pit lane for Ray Oliver. Oh, and he's just missed it completely. So he has to stop there and clear the slowdown before he crosses that line. If he doesn't do it, then he basically gets an infringement for not having cleared the black flag before he crosses the line. The same thing happens at the race end as well, where you then get a heavy post-race penalty. So he's copped that one there because Kuznetsov has another look down the inside. Ooh. And it's, oh, wow. Check up there, and Watson just reminded him he was there. I don't think they'll have too much of a look at that.
Nice bit of driving, and Watson probably will be thanking himself that he's hit that very, very square on as opposed to on an angle, because he had to spun him from that. Would have been the one getting the penalty, but Watson has a little look up the inside as we start lap number 9, lap number 10 even of this race. Looking at a 20... brain not working, 24 lap race, I think.
Give or take. I think you're probably close to the mark.
We're still expecting race control to potentially intervene with Rick Kuznetsov getting a penalty, and maybe one more for some other stuff that's happened back in the field, but other than that, we may have seen everything race control. Right on cue, Rick Kuznetsov has received a black flag. I'm not sure if that one has come from race control, has it? I
haven't seen a race control black flag. So
I think he's got it as a penalty for incident points, potentially.
That is a good question. He
has been involved in a lot early on. Remembering we saw last round that the incident points were catching a few drivers out. That's Ray Oliver that's just had a spin, and Michael Thompson's also just had a slide as well. But incident points did catch drivers out last week, or last round, I should say, three weeks ago. So.
Showing that it's that many, but it makes sense what you're saying. All those little bumps and contacts can be 4Xs, and they tally up pretty quickly. And the little bit of a run wide at turn 2 when he got forced off the road from Watson and just cutting the corner a little bit, running a little bit wide on exit. So we'll see him in the lane to drive through, I'm going to say next lap. Do one more. He's going to have to come in and serve that, and then come back in to make an actual pit stop next time by. And let's bear in mind, race control potentially still reviewing.
Oh, someone's practiced.
He gets it done, so he's in.
Well done. Give someone a tick.
Pit lane speed limit here, 80?
I think it's 60.
So on board with Chase Hoy here. Great view out of the car. Gives you a real understanding of how much work goes into getting these things stopped and turned. They're a great fun car to race if you are looking for something to have a crack at on iRacing.
Saw there how difficult it was for Hoy to actually get his foot on the power there. As soon as he put the foot down, he had to unload the wheel and correct the slide that, the snap of the car. And again, a lot of wheel work going on here. One thing that I do hear a lot from drivers that drive this car at a high level is there's so little that you can adjust. It really is a driver's car. You really do have to drive the wheels off the car to get pace out of it.
It definitely, it's probably the direction towards which V8 supercars have gone. There's a huge dive there from Hoy. Just manages to miss Kurt Rose as well. Get that back on the track.
Ray Oliver's in to serve his penalty. Bring this up on screen so that we can get a bit of an idea.
Rick Kuznetsov, black flagged by race control. So he's going to have to come through the lane again.
Potentially got a double penalty coming. Oliver's served a 21-second stop and hold. I don't believe he's actually served his stop. Although now he's doing his pit stop as well, so he's doing both in one.
So Kuznetsov into pit lane. He has
Well
practice,
done.
so he's in straight away. So this will be potentially the drive-through.
Yeah.
Will be
Unless
the
he's got to
drive-through.
stop and hold, because he's received a secondary penalty from race control. That may have turned that original penalty now into a stop and hold penalty for the...
Interesting there as well. There was a little bit of damage on the front of his car that just got repaired,
So he's used a fast repair.
and he is getting his tyres done too. So this will be a long stop.
It's going to do the stop and hold as well as the penalty as well at the same time, which you are allowed to do, but it just does add extra time to your stop.
Get it all done. That's our first grouping of cars we've seen get into pit lane. They're all in pit lane, so that's a good start.
Pringle, Edwards, Thompson, and Coburn all in together.
Try and have a look at that if we can. Jay on board, maybe looking at the back of the lead car in that grouping just to see how they managed when we can. Having a look still here at the 777 of Chase Hoyt, who's just up in that P8 through our pit stop change up.
On board Nathaniel Coburn, he's pulled it up well, and I think everyone's realised now. I reckon everyone's sort of heard, hey, pit entry's not easy to get into. People are getting black flags. Pull it up early.
A bit of gap given
Bit of
there as
respect
well.
there too, wasn't there?
Between the group, tiptoeing their way into pit lane. Hard to see a few more get through.
Look at this hold time for Netsov.
Yeah,
80
wow.
seconds. I'll take. It's dropped him back to the last car in the field. Remember Simon Mazzomo pitted early because he had no real choice. His teammate. Look at the difference in pit stop times. 45 seconds extra. Here's Netsov. It's obviously the penalty on top of his pit stop. Yeah, that's a big penalty for him. And Marcus Watson responding, but I don't think he has to stress too much.
No, it'll be interesting to see how far up he can get from there. So he's not going to get the double done tonight, but he will give it a fair crack. You can rest assured of that.
I mean, a safety car could change things, but it's going to be very unlikely for him to win 4 from 4, isn't it?
It's going to be difficult, as Kurt Rose and Marcus Watson are into pit lane as well. Who's that down in the front there going
yeah,
slow?
that's Michael Thompson. He's just received a mechanical black flag for something. I get the feeling he's just looped it through these turns 3 and 4 here at the exit of 4, which we saw Trevor Leonard. Oh, there's a car just ahead there. Oh.
Oh, who was that down the grass? Look at that driving for you.
Trevor Hearn was the first car there. I think the other one was Kuznetsov, was it not?
Couldn't quite pick up the livery. Yeah, I think you might be right. And he's just nailed it down the grass on the inside of the track to try and avoid the incident. And done an amazing job to keep it off the fence.
This is Kuznetsov.
Yeah. So there you can see the incident up in front. Just not able to get out of the avoid, but to avoid it here, he's out on the grass. And have a look at that. Have a look at the angle of the steering wheel while he's trying to keep it off the fence. That is fantastic driving to make sure he didn't have to go back down through pit lane again to get more repairs to the 888.
Michael
Great
Thompson
driving.
has had to bring his car back into the pits. David Hughes and Greg Levine are in for their pit stops. So we've now had everyone except the top 10 come into the pits, as Ben Breyer has a little bit of a moment through the final corner. Now remember, he did that at the end of the first race and almost lost himself a spot.
Yeah, it's caught out a couple of drivers tonight, hasn't it? Both the inside and the outside fence there getting some attention.
Ace Hoy has come into the pits. Looks like also come in, but this is on board with Breyer, who's actually starting to close in. Oh, that's way too deep.
Oh, yeah, way too deep.
I'm wondering if he was getting a little distracted by how much he was starting to close in on Trevor Leonard there. Just caught himself out.
Dean Hunt, Chase Hoyt, and Jonathan Akers into pit lane as well. Getting their tyre stop done. Marcus Watson moves into the top 10. on his way back towards the race lead. Remembering that Kuznetsov, when he was in the lead, had actually made up 11 positions, having started P12 with the reverse top 12. With Kuznetsov getting that drive-through penalty that's compounded the problems for him in this feature race. He's now battling it out to make his way back up through the field with Jackson Pringle and Cam Edwards in front of him.
One more spot here as well, as they do. Jonathan Akers still in the pits. Kuznetsov up the inside, and you'd think that this is going to be moved on. Pringle gives him a bit of space. Here he goes.
It's finished. The gap's going to be, as our race, Trevor Leonard and Brazier are into pit lane.
So do in as well.
Oh.
You think that that's pretty logical considering they're all in the same team?
Kyle Ridley as well jumping in. He looked like he was just a little loose there, pulling it up at the line. Clint Harvey's got the message, so has Michael Holcroft, who actually has been into pit lane before last race, so he's probably aware of how difficult it can be. As just see McMenamin jumps into the lead of the race temporarily.
Give him his TV time while he's in the lead.
Absolutely.
Nobody believes you've actually led a lap unless it comes up on the broadcast with the big number 1 beside your name.
There he is on screen. The juiced cars support this category fairly heavily as well. Juiced Energy.
Leonard is away, but looks like we'll lose out. There goes Marcus Watson. The other car coming there, that is Michael Thompson, who is a lap down now as well. Guys all made their stops. Obviously, Breyer and Masadou come out pretty much as they were, with Mike Pepper closing in behind. I tell you who's been the biggest winner out of the pit stop phase is Simon Mazzomo. He's ended up back in that 8th. He'll be net 7th.
Remembering that he stopped right on the pit window opening, so it's the long roll for him is so far working out after that early damage. And he's in a good group here. The gap for basically to the lead is not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination, remembering that Jesse McMenamin still hasn't done his pit stop. So between our effective race leader Marcus Watson and Mazzomo, you're only talking a gap of around about 12 seconds. Doesn't sound like a lot. Oh, sorry, it sounds like a lot, but with track temps and tyre drivers and things like that, it can disappear relatively quickly. So keep an eye on Mazzomo. Chase Hoy's also done quite well out of the pit stop window too. He's moved up into P7, which will be P6. So there's plenty who'll be happy with what's going on here. Mazzomo does the fastest lap of the race. Is he too far back? He is too far back. You've got to think he's too far away for the challenge zone for Kuznetsov, but we'll see how far back he can bring it.
It's going to be difficult, but yeah, he's a long way back. Is all those guys moment McMenamin's in the pits to make sure everyone has completed the pit stop. 15 minutes left on the clock. Means that we've pretty much just got race 1 plus a little bit left in this one. Ben Breyer from 3rd position is around.
I think he's outbraked himself again. Just going
turn 1, turn 2.
Yeah, turn 2, I think, and just gone straight ahead. He's in some pretty good company there with drivers who've done that tonight.
I'll be honest, the first time I did flying laps here, I did it as well. And it is very, very easy to do, especially as the track is cooling as well. The track's cooled off about 4 degrees Celsius since we started this race. So it's not as we expected as Kuznetsov punches out another fastest lap.
Someone else is off in the background there as well. Another one of the Juiced boys. I didn't quite catch who it was, but what it has done is brought Mazzomo even closer now with Hoy onto the back of Breyer. Might give Macedo a little bit of breathing room. but you've got effectively 5 drivers here, all battling away. You can see them on screen there. Macedo back to Howlett, all looking to try and get this P4 position away. And it's allowed Pepper just to crack away a little bit, unintended.
Well done. Like that one.
As we
Going to acknowledge a good pun in these races.
see Watson and Leonard at the front. What can they do?
You've been hanging
really
around
well,
David
dude.
Haynes too much with these puns. I'll tell you that now.
Yep, mate. Well, it could also be just the late night and early start that gets to me every now and again. But Watson's done really well from line this race. He battled drove really well with Kuznetsov at the start there when they were battling away after Kuznetsov made it up into P2. And he's 4.5 seconds to the good in the race lead here. But this battle definitely not settled between the teammates. Hopefully working together, you would hope, for their benefit, to try and break away from the horde coming behind them. As we see Chase Hoy here under pressure from Simon Mazzomo. Michael Howlett wanting to get involved as well.
One of the biggest movers in the field is Chase Hoy, as you can see in the bottom right of your screen. Currently up 10 positions from where he started. That's a great drive, regardless of any race. If you can gain 10 positions, so they started outside the top 12, which is obviously the reverse grid positions, to then make your way through regardless of that, means you're going to have to pass guys legitimately faster than you because they're starting back in the field as well. That's an incredible drive from him, so well done to him. Michael Howcroft started at the back of the field and obviously had issues in race 1, but he's made himself back up past half the field, up 13 positions to P12. So those two drivers are your biggest movers. They're not done. I think Hoy wants a couple more, and Holdcroft's not far away from getting up to Clint Harvey. He may almost have enough pace to get up into the top 10, Michael Holdcroft. So watch out for him as we get towards the end. Still 6 laps to go when we cross the line, so still a lot to go.
Yeah, we're sort of battling in pairs here with Macedo and Brazier punching on, and you've got Hoy and Mazzomo as well, with Howlett in the background, not too far back behind that as well. You've got Harvey and Holcroft, as you mentioned. So there's still plenty to play for. Remember, it's only round 2 as well, so every point counts at this stage of the season. I mean, they always count, but definitely this early on, as Macedo just runs wide on the entry to the front straight.
Oh, Mazzomo's had to come in for a second stop. He hasn't got enough fuel in the car when he's come in for that stop to mean that he can make it home on just the one. So the fuel tank restriction has caught him out, unfortunately. He'll just splash in a little bit of fuel. Away he goes. Only a 7-second stop. So that good drive we were talking about, unfortunately, it's done. He hasn't had much go his way this championship so far. I mean, last round he didn't have any good luck. Sure, he did get involved in an incident, but even still, he didn't have much go his way.
The only benefit he's got now is that he's got familiar company in front of him.
They'll work together as well.
They will indeed. So disappointing for him. It was a good drive back from that early incident. Not of his doing.
These two find themselves together again.
They do. You did mention that they generally seem to find themselves battling away.
Mick Benjamin just ahead as well, who, as we know, is on the freshest tyres in the field. Now, I think that is more of a hindrance than a help. Do take a lot to get up to temperature, these tyres. We know that from the highest level in the Porsche Esports Super Cup all the way down to the lower levels of Porsche racing. Higher temperature in these tyres is nearly impossible to get.
So he's going to have his hands full as well with the two drivers that are in front of him trying to make position. A little bit of a gap as well until he gets there, so that might help him out.
Pringle's had Edwards with him all night long. Took him in race 1. Got him again here for race number 2. Remembering they were battling over P12 and P13 in race 1. Pringle didn't quite get there, but Yeah, the race that pays more points probably prefer to finish ahead. This one as he makes a little error. Now has Cam Edwards. I tell you what, this is like the last lap of the last race starting over again.
A deja vu for them. Remember the end of that race? Both locked up a break.
Neither of them wanted it, did they?
No, it was to the benefit though. Get into the is it P12?
Sadu is starting to close in the gap on Mike Pepper. Battle for third is not done. Remember, we saw that Pepper broke away after we had that lock-up for Ben Breyer. Now, definitely starting to close. 3 seconds is the gap now. 5 or 4 laps to go. Last lap by, Masadou was around 1/8 of a second faster, so that's probably enough to close it in with 1 lap to go.
He's taking Breyer with him as well, so Mike Pepper definitely going to have some company towards the end of this one. Gap at the front's very stable between Watson and Leonard, just teetering around that 4.5 second mark. It hasn't really changed at all for the last few laps.
Even their lap times are almost identical, right on cue. Leonard just punches out a lap half a second quicker. Yeah, it stayed very consistent between 5 seconds all race long, but has to do that lap by, another half a second. That's not enough. He needs a little bit more. Hey, who's got enough pace, though, to potentially get a move done? Mikey Howlett might be able to get this done on Chase Hoy, you'd think.
He's definitely looking competitive, because Netsov makes up a position on Dean Hunt to move back up into P12. On board now here with Howlett. Yeah, lap car there on the outside, just making enough room. It's Greg Levine. Howlett, a lot of faith that he was going to make it through there.
Awkward spot to have traffic come up on you, regardless of whether you're a front runner or a back marker. It's a difficult spot to try and work out where to go.
It always seems to happen right when you're within striking distance of the car in front.
Always an awkward spot. Doesn't matter what race you're in or what track you're in, you always find the faster cars will catch you at a spot that you don't want them anywhere near you.
Keep a look at this battle here. See if Howlett can close that gap down. Masato hasn't really grabbed the lap that he needed to grab to keep the pressure on Pepper. The gap has stabilised as well. The closest one that's happening throughout the field. Zomo's also got past Dean Hunt to move up into P13.
And they're only second and a half or so off Michael Holdcroft as well, so they might get themselves up to position number 11 and maybe even P10 as they've got 3 to go now. On the field, Breyer and Masadou continue on. Hoy and Howlett still in their battle. That battle for Watson and Leonard, that's stabilised. Masadou, as here comes Howlett having a little look. Masadou took another couple of tenths out of Mike Pepper, so that gap has stabilised there. May not have enough to catch.
I think with the time and laps left, that may be job done for Pepper to hold out that third position. Question is, will Breyer make a move on Masadou? Will Howlett get it done on Hoy as well? Said Kuznetsov probably going to have a look at Mike Holdcroft within the next lap or so.
Yeah, the gap's closing way too quick, isn't it? 1.6 seconds on the previous lap. Kuznetsov was faster than Holdcroft. Even Mazomo was 1.2 seconds quicker, so I think this gap will be diminished very, very quickly. It'd be a great drive if Holdcroft could hold on, but I can't see that happening.
No, and I was going to say, such is the way of racing that Rit Kuznetsov now is net gain. He is starting in P12, or started in P12, and he's now up one spot into P11 after all of the prior 36 or so minutes of racing.
Sounds like he's had a very quiet night when you say he's only up one spot, but he's done a lot in this race. Ben Brayer's made the same mistake again at the final corner, and he's now got his teammate Tiago Masadou looking to make a move. All right, these guys are allowed to race hard. This team, 2 to go. Racing elbows are out.
So that's actually a mistake from Masadou, who was ahead of Brayer. So Masadou's made a mistake there, and then I think Brayer's made a mistake as well after he's got the move done. So if we can find out what's going on there for you, you can see Pepper just up in the distance there as well. That gap is about 2.5 seconds, which a couple of laps to go is a big gap to try and make up. Unless there's a mistake. Have a look at the replay here. This is Tiago Masadou we're having a look. So he just grabbed a lot of the curb there and it sort of pushed him wide. May have even got a slow down perhaps. And then Brayer just...
When Brayer lost that spot, because it's put me off guard that he was ahead.
Yeah, so Masadou was in 4th.
Yeah.
And so he's dropped the spot there to Brayer. And then I think Brayer's just had a little bit of an episode at the end of the front straight as well. The gap was bigger. So Brayer in 4th now with Masadou in 5th. Howlett's still in the background there. You can see chasing Hoyt.
Overtake actually happened a little while ago, so we've completely missed that. Cam Edwards, speaking of overtakes, has just got past Jesse McMenumin into P16 now. So Pringle and Edwards through McMenumin on those newer tyres, but isn't able to get the tyres working in his favour at the moment. Closest battle on track at the moment, though, is Mazomo and Holdcroft. I think this will be done relatively quickly. Now, I'm not sure whether these guys are getting the white flag this time.
I think we'll go through, and then it'll be 2 more laps in this lap that they'll be on in the final lap.
Can't see Barney waving a white flag over the fence there, can we? Oh, yes, we can. So this is the last lap.
Oh, yeah, there he is there. It's hard to see him with him at pit lane level.
His little booster seat, doesn't he? Up the inside comes Mazomo. Holdcroft decides, yep, you can take that one. Will Howlett be able to get this move done on Chase Hoy? I tell you what, Chase Hoy, regardless of if he holds on to this spot or loses a spot here, absolutely brilliant drive from him.
He's had a great feature race. And Mike Holdcroft as well, up 12 spots. So both drivers doing a great job in this one. Marcus Watson, our race leader though, he is up 9 positions. He's going to come across the line and take the checkered flag.
He's still got a couple of corners to go. It's caught you out again.
Oh, I was about to say,
I tricked you then.
A couple more corners to go. And he'll get that done. Very, very solid drive from him. Still allowing the race, plenty of pressure from Rit Kuznetsov. He gets through this final sequence of corners. He's going to come across the line to be our second race winner this season so far, and a well-deserved victory for Marcus Watson.
Great job from Trevor Leonard there.
Yeah, gets across the line in P2, and it's going to be Mike Pepper bringing it home in P3. Brayer and Masadou not too far behind from the distance there. It looks like Chase Hoy is going to hold on to P6, up 10 spots, along with Michael Howlett. P7. Kuznetsov closing in on Clint Harvey, but he's just not going to have enough time to get it done. Great comeback from him as well after the trials and tribulations of the evening. John Akers here with Trevor Hearn. Can this position change? Oh, it's on. It is. He's run wide. And that's going to go.
You won't be able to close that gap back down, you'd think.
No.
Hearn gets the run downhill at turn 10. It's in the background too, Nathaniel Coburn. David Hughes getting closer. I'll tell you what, Hughes almost outbroke himself, but pulled it up quite nicely in the end. Coburn, as long as he can pull it up here for the last stoppage on the track, should be able to hold on to position number 20. David Hughes will finish in 21st. What a night of racing we've had.
Another cracker. Plenty to talk about. And it turned out to be small driver mistakes more than anything else that impacted how this one finished out. With pit lane not tripping up too many, only one drive-through scene, but it was Marcus Watson, Project X Racing, taking out the race win. Up 9 positions, a great drive from him with Trevor Leonard in P2. Mike Pepper taking out the final position on that podium. And Brazier and Thiago Macedo drives from them as well with Chase Hoy, another solid performer tonight. P6. Howlett in P7. Paul Ridley in 8th. Kurt Rosa in 9th. Link Harvey in P10. A little bit further back, Rick Kuznetsov with a main race. You'll want to forget Simon Mazzomo in P12, Michael Holcroft 13th, Dean Hunt in 14th, Jackson Pringle 15th, Jesse McMiniman in 16th, and Cam Edwards and Trevor Hearn 17th and 18th, with John Akers and Nathaniel Coburn 19th and 20th. To round out the grid tonight, David Hughes 21st, Greg Levine 22nd, Michael Thompson 23rd, with Ray Oliver, Alex Newton, Sam DeRua, John Lee finishing out 27 cars with a couple of those drivers not starting our feature race. Just having a look, Jay, to see if we've got anyone waiting.
Yeah, we'll quickly grab Trevor Leonard for a quick chat. Congratulations, mate. P2 in the main race. Can't complain with that.
No, good recovery. Didn't have a fantastic first race, but luckily the reverse grid gave me a decent advantage, and I mean, I can't keep up with Marcus and Rick. They're on another level, but no, happy with P2.
Look us through the pit entry. It's always a talking point at this track. Must be something about the Japanese circuits that seems to catch people out, but you did it very, very nicely. I know others didn't, but you did it very, very well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I just tried to stay off the grass. I only practiced it like twice before, so yeah, no, that's fortunate.
I think practicing it twice is probably more than most people have done. We talked about the schedule. We've got Maggie Core next round. Looking forward to that one. Have you done any racing there? Have you done any practice there?
I think I did 3 laps in an 86 during week 13, and that is it. So
perfect practice for
a few
Porsche.
weeks to get. Yeah, that's it.
Congratulations, mate, on a great result tonight. P2 in the main race, and my brain is gone. We finished
8.
P9.
Okay.
Number 1. So not a bad point. So who would you like to thank for your night?
Yeah, just the team that I've got at Racecraft. John Lee, always amazing support, and the rest of the guys, Ben Brazier, Thiago, Alex Newton, great guys to battle and practice and duel with. So, and shout out to the winner, Marcus. Him and Rick are silly quick. So good on them.
Thanks for jumping in for a chat, Trev, and we'll no doubt chat to you in a few weeks' time. And Stu, who have you wandered down the lane and found?
Yeah, so we've actually found our race winner, Marcus Watson. Bring him into the booth here. Marcus, congratulations. Job well done for the race win here in the feature race. How did you find it?
At the start was quite tricky, but you know, once it all settled down, it was pretty calm.
You're racing with Rick. Gave us something to talk about and something to have a look at. Unfortunately, he did get that penalty to serve during the race, but how did you find it there? You guys were switching backwards and forwards for the race lead, and it was quite a hot contest in that early part of the race.
Yeah, obviously there was a bit of contact, there was door banging, there was moves everywhere, but it was good racing, and I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I hope it happens every round. Like, I had a blast.
How'd you find the pit entry here?
Mate, I slowed down as much as I could. I was not risking that at all. I did not care if I was going to lose a second or two. I was not going to ruin that. It's nasty.
We spoke about it at length before the broadcast started, and everyone did the right thing. Actually, there's only one little slip up there, so it was well done by all to avoid the grass and get into the lane. Obviously, a good points haul for you for the from the feature race as well, as our first non-Rick Kuznetsov driver to take a win so far this season. We've got Magna Core next week. What are you looking forward to about that?
I've done a few laps in there in a GT3, but the 992 as a whole is still very new to me. Every track I go to feels like a whole new track. But it's an awesome track, and I'm keen.
We're looking forward to seeing you there in a few weeks. Of course, a win for you here. I'm assuming that there'd be some people you want to say thanks to on the way out.
Yeah, absolutely. My uncle Brad, my dad, obviously, I wouldn't know how to drive like I can now without them. Project X Racing and Modern Warrior Muay Thai.
Fantastic, and congratulations again, race winner for our feature race, Marcus
you.
Watson. Who have we got left, Jay?
Oh, got Mike Pepper in for a quick chat. Congratulations, mate. Podium for the night. Congratulations on that. Great drive and well done holding on to P3.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, it was pretty close at the end.
Guys behind you were starting to close in pretty quick. Were you getting a little bit worried watching the timer as they were closing that time down?
Yeah, I was trying to ignore it, but yeah, they were pretty quick. A couple of little mistakes, but got to be happy with that, to be fair. So,
talk to us about the pit lane and the pit entry. How worried were you, A, that you were going to get hit from behind on your way in with a group of cars, but B, actually getting it in without getting a penalty?
yeah, I think one of the other boys in Discord had a penalty, so I took it easy. But I thought I'll come in a lap before the guys in front, and then hopefully the tyres will be warm. And I think that's what got me those spots, because they locked up, and I think they both locked up and went off with the cold tyres. It was super tricky. So
Yeah,
I think having those warm tyres allowed me to close down a couple of seconds, which was good.
Yeah, we did notice your teammate in Ray Oliver did. We only called him out a couple of times for it. He didn't have a great, actually.
No, not.
We go to Maggie Core next round. What are your thoughts on that? What are you looking forward to there?
Good track like that. Yeah, raced it in IMSA recently, so yeah, it's a good one. So should make for a decent race in the Porsche Cup.
Yeah, good luck for next round, mate. Anyone you need to thank?
Don't know if he's watching, but shout out to Braden who does our liveries, because we've got 6 different colours now, so all the cars looking pretty sweet.
Mike Pepper P3 in the main race, and one more to do. Our race 1 winner standing by with you, Stu. Hopefully we do anyway.
Welcome to the booth. Are you there, mate?
I am here, yes.
He's here indeed, the man in the flesh, winner of race 1, pole to podium. Race 2, talk us through, Rick. The reverse top 12 always throws up a challenge. Last week you managed to manage your way through it. This week a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, there was a lot of chaos on track. I actually got an instant over limit as well from a lot of door banging, and then the drive-through also slapped, so it gave me a double penalty in the pit, so I got to hold for 40 seconds. So yeah, it was a bit of dramas in race 2.
Managed to drive back into P11 though after all of that, so still a competitive race and fastest lap for the race as well. Let's do a little bit of highlight on race 1 instead, mate. A dominant performance again, going from pole to the podium, as I said. So good qualifying lap, and just managed to drive away with it a little bit there at the start while everyone was battling behind you.
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to get not battle with anyone behind and just run away with it, which I did, which was the goal in the race.
So we head to Magna Core next time out, and you've got a reasonable lead at the top of the championship early on. What are you looking forward to about that, or how will you be preparing for that sort of change in circuit?
I've done a couple of laps. It's a pretty tricky circuit, especially the curbs. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting round. Definitely the reverse grid is going to be tricky because it's pretty hard pumps as well.
Yeah, absolutely will be. So as usual, mate, on your way out of the booth, just anyone you want to say thanks to?
Yep, Racecraft Simulations, thanks John for the support. Pony Race Peril, RSW Graphics, Racing East, Cutting Edge Tracks, and RB Media.
Fantastic, and it's good to see John get out on track tonight as well as part of the group. So that's it, Jay. Another week of this done. Round 2 already flying by. Round 3 in a couple of weeks' time, 14th of June. We're looking at that one. Coverage from 8:30, of course, on SimSpeed for the Southern Cross Esports Winter Series Round 3. We're heading to Magna-Cour, as you heard from the drivers there. Variety of challenges coming up for that track, and it's going to be interesting in these cars. As you said, the long straight is going to be challenging into that braking zone for the hairpin with cold tyres. It's a good, fast-flowing, sweeping circuit, but definitely on cold tyres is going to be a challenge. So look forward to bringing you that one on the 14th of June.
Yeah, if it's a cold track next round, it's going to be very, very tough for the drivers to get temp into the tyres early on, because there's saying that lots of long straights, lots of hairpins, so no real sweeping corners. A couple of sweeping corners in the midsection of the track, but not too many. Lots of stop-start, so it will be interesting to see how they go cycling the heat into the tyres. But thanks for jumping in again, Stu. It's been another great night of racing. Big thanks to the supporters of the series here at Southern Cross Esports as well. V8 Drive Day Perth, VRace Experience, Word of Mouth Signs, and PPD Performance 4x4. If you want to get involved in Southern Cross Esports, check them out on Facebook or send us a message on SimSpeed and we can point you in the right direction. Entries are still open. If you want to get involved, please reach out. They're more than willing to take on more drivers. Big thanks to everyone behind the scenes at Southern Cross Esports for their support of us here at SimSpeed as well. We'll be back with this series again in 3 weeks' time, but don't forget, sister series to this, the Formula B National Esports Cup, will be this time next Wednesday night from Okayama, so make sure you stick with us for that, for more action from Japan. Next time, we thank you for watching. We'll see you then.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.